right, I'm live. Peace, one love, man. YouTube live.
How you do? I know I had that on there. That's a camera.
Yeah. One love, everybody. Peace, one love. You know what I'm saying? We live on YouTube. We're gonna be speaking on the observer's effect, the interference pattern, holographic. Hold on. I gotta type this so I won't forget, because I got short term. You know what I'm saying? I got short term. So we're gonna be speaking on the holographic reality, the the observer's effect, and interference patterns. So first we want to start with the holographic reality, right? So what is a hologram? So like, let's look, what is a hologram, right? Now, if we do lots, hold on, let me take this and bring this over here. Okay. And I wish I could screen share. Hold on. Let me see if it's screen share on here. Okay. I don't know if I can screen share, but I'm finna just do something real quick. Y'all stay safe. So what is a hologram, right? Hologram. Definition. So a hologram is a three-dimensional it's a three-dimensional structure, but it's not telekinetically connected. Well, they do have telekinetic holograms, but just don't listen to me. Let's get to hold on. A hologram is a three-dimensional image. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not a structure. It's a three-dimensional image produced from a pattern of interference produced by split coherent beam of radiation, such as a laser. So the reason why we got to talk about interference patterns is because if we want to know how holograms work, we got to understand interference patterns, because that's the basis of what a hologram is. And it's kind of glitching, so I'm just there. I gotta kind of catch that glitch. All right. So it says a hologram is a third-dimensional image produced from a pattern of interference produced by a split coherent beam of radiation, such as a laser. The pattern of interference itself. So it's a laser interfering with itself, creating a hologram. So it's a replica. This is how a clone, a duplicate, a double, right? I'm putting prefixes and synonyms so you could get it. A hologram is a picture of a whole object, showing it in three dimensions. We've all seen cheap hologram images on credit cards, on ID cards. For more impressive or large holograms that take the form of a ghostly 3D moving figure that you can walk around to see from all angles. Holograms were invented in 1947. That's not when holograms was invented, but only perfected after the invention of the laser in 1960. Today, they're used in such technologies as compact disc players, compact disc players, and checkout scanners, and holograms can be created of the inside of live internal organs to permit doctors to examine the organs in great detail. As soon televisions with hologram technology may enable us to watch 3D. So like, uh with that right there, as soon television with hologram technology may enable us to watch. All right, so yeah, we got a little of what holograms is, but we're gonna go deeper, man. Hold on. So I already been studying this and all this stuff. Obviously, it's important to study this before you even try to like teach. So like if y'all see this right here, right? I don't know if y'all see that, but this is a laser, right? And this is a beam splitter. This is the all right, hold on. Cause I gotta go back to the definition so I can break it down. And one love, everybody. I hope everybody doing a fantastic day. So it says a hologram is a third-dimensional image produced by a pattern of interference produced by a split coherent beam. So this is the split coherent beam, but that's the laser, right? It splits that and into two beam rays, right? Now, this is a mirror. This is the objective. Like, okay, so for you to create a hologram, you have to interact with a still image and something that's in motion. So there's two frequencies that go into things that exist: the stillness of a being and the energy or the vibration of a being, right? And when these two energies interact, it creates reality or expression or intentions. So when we look at this, right, what this doing is splitting. Is basically it's bouncing off mirrors just to interact with itself again. So this is the replica of the actual object. So this laser and this object are one and the same. This will be the sperm and this will be the egg, because the egg is emotionless, it's motionless, and the sperm is motion. So this is how they interact with itself to create the holographic picture of the fetus or embryo or a baby, right? But this is also holographic technology. So y'all take a look at that, man. I got another picture to make. Hold on. I think I got another one. Yeah, I most definitely got another picture. Here's another one. So that would be you, right? And like I said, it's the same effect. So this right here, that will be the beam splitter. You see how it's splitting that? It's still going straight. And you got that one splitting down like that. And these are mirrors. So that's a mirror. When you get right there, that's a mirror. And this is the object, and this is the two energies interacting with itself. The physical nature and the spiritual nature interacting with itself to create reality. Reality exists between a physical and a spiritual state. So, and it says right here, like when they crash and they're creating, it's an interference pattern. So the interference pattern is basically the hologram or the replica or the duplicate of the two energies that that came together. So I'm getting the gist of like what holograms is and stuff, right? So y'all give me a sec. Right. So all right, and then look, every day you look in the mirror, this technology is happening. You are that laser beam. So what's how you're seeing everything in like a physical format is this everyday holographic interference pattern that you're doing with all things in existence. And this cease to exist every time you go to sleep and every time you wake up in that type of pattern. But like I was saying, like when you look in a mirror, there's a beam, the laser beam coming out your eyes to create a holographic image because you're looking at a mirror. So the mirror, the laser of you beam off the mirror, right? And it bounce back to you and it hits you and is creating a interference pattern. It's a creating a wave, and then it's bouncing back, going in a circle to create another wave to interfere with that same wave. When these waves interfere, they create a vesica Pisces. And that vesica Pisces is the spark, it's the sparkle, it's the spark that comes out of the interference pattern of those two energetic frequencies. You see what I've said? So this is how you're seeing everything in reality. You're bouncing the electrical signals that we talk about. Those are mirrors that you're bouncing off to create the holographic image of everything you're seeing. And when we talk about the holographic reality, we're talking about all senses, not just based upon your vision. This happens with sight, taste, touch, smell. Everything happens with this holographic beam laser type of energy. So all of the senses work in coherence, just like your just like your vision, right? So we still on holograms, right? All right. And y'all look at that picture again. Cause look, hold on. Right? That would be the apple, right? And this is the observer and the observation. The observer does not exist without the observation, because even when the observer is looking at its own self, that's the observation. Whatever observer, if an observer is looking at anything, then that's the observation. So even in a perspective of you looking at your body, that's an observation of the observer that's still looking from within as without. See what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all take a look at that. And then creating a holographic image right there. So that's not how all holograms work, but that's the basic of, it's basically a laser interfering with itself, creating a holographic image of itself. So this laser is holding a lot of information, obviously, to create the holographic images or holographic videos or telekinetic interactions. You see what I'm saying? But when you go into like technology like that, if they're not teaching you the basic of basic technology, like basic holograms, then you're going a far step ahead, because you got to understand the laser. You got to understand the motion, the thing that's in motion, and the thing that's being interacted with that's not in motion. That's actually creating a hologram that's motionless in motion. See what I'm saying? So hold on, what was this shit? What was the other shit? Oh yeah. So yeah, all this corresponds with the we're gonna talk about the interference pattern for that. And actually, hold on. I got my other phone, so I can look some stuff up. I'm gonna show you what an interference pattern is. interference pattern. When you look at the middle, that's an interference pattern. These are two waves come together, creating waves, and they're interacting with itself at the peak of that. So that's what particles is. Particles are the peaks of waves. So at the end of waves or at the beginning of waves, you measure particles. But the middle point, you can't measure particles. You can only measure particles by way of the ending, which is the peaks, or the beginning, which is the settling point. And the middle point is always wave. All is wave. So it's a wave in a particle. You can't get away from it. But what I'm trying to get to you is like when these two energies interact, they create a band-like wave. This is the double split experiment. And these are two particles going through the split, interacting like waves. So they did the same thing with waves and they interacted like particles. And they're trying to get to the separation between them, but there's no separation between a wave and a particles because they come from the same source, which is the field, the magnetic field. That's where everything, the electromagnetic spectrum, that's the field. So an interference pattern in physics is a phenomenon in which two waves combine by adding their displacement together at every single point in space and time to form a resultant wave of greater, lower, and same amplitude. So what is an example? One of the best examples of interference is demonstrated by the light reflected from a film of oil floating on water. Another example is thin film of a soap bubble, which reflects as spectrum of beautiful colors when illuminated by natural or artificial light sources. So when you see that light beam going into that pyramid and splitting into the four colors, that's basically what an interference pattern is. The interference between the pyramid being the stillness and the light beam being the motion part creates a rainbow birthing. Magnetism and electricity interacting with itself to create those four band colors of the electromagnetic spectrum of light, visible light. So what is the cause? Answer and explanation. Interference patterns are caused by the collision of waves of the same or very similar frequencies. These waves can then have their amplitude added. Constructive interference or subtractive or deconstructive interference. A series of alternating dark and bright bands produced as a result of light interference. So that's the effect. Now, what are interference patterns? A series of alternating dark and bright bands produced as a result of light interference. Electromagnetic interference, co-channel interference, also known as crosstalk, adjacent channel interference. This is an interference pattern. This is an interference pattern. Interference pattern. Interference pattern. And so this energy creates your body. This interference pattern created your eyes, your organs, your tissues, the connection between your spirit and your physical body is based upon between the reason why they connected and they disconnect in certain perspectives is due to the point of the collapsing and the expansion of the wave function. I don't want to go too deep because I have a lot I want to say to the people, but this just terminology. So we're gonna go way deeper than this, but just know this stuff. All right. You got constructive interference occurs when the wave amplitudes reinforce each other, building a wave of even greater amplitude. So when two waves collapse upon they peaks, you got deconstructed interference when I ain't gotta look at this one. It's when a wave interacts with the peak of another wave, but that wave is not it's not the peak of that wave, it's just interacting with a peak of a wave, which neutralizes the actual wavelength. It don't amplify it or reduce it, it just neutralizes it. So that's a deconstructive wavelength. I mean deconstructive wave function. So wave in physics interferences phenomena, or we already read that. Constructed, deconstructed interference results in an interacting of waves that are correlated or coherent with each other, either because they come from the same source or because they have the same, nearly the same frequency. Interference effects by the absorb with all types of waves. For example, light, radio, acoustic, surface, water waves, gravity waves, or matter waves are all as loud speakers as electrical waves. They all have interference patterns. So what it just said is light does not exist without an interference pattern. Radio does not exist without an interference pattern. Acoustic waves do not exist without an interference pattern. Surface water waves do not exist without an interference pattern. Gravity waves do not exist without an interference pattern. Matter waves, as well as loud speakers, as electrical waves, do not exist without interference patterns. One love, man. Peace. One love, man. Peace for joining in. I don't even know how to how do you wave? I don't even think you can wave. Peace, one love, man. Like, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the content, you know what I'm saying? Peace, one love, man. Y'all stay blissful. So, destructive interference result from the interaction of waves that are correlated or coherent with each other, either because they come from the same source or because they have the same, nearly the same frequency. So, like, all right, we already read this shit. But like I said, interference pattern. You know what I'm saying? The interference of two waves, when in phase, the two lower waves create constructive interference. Left, resulting in the wave of adding amplitude when 180 degrees out of phase. They create deconstructive interference, resulting in a wave of zero amplitude, which is a dead zone. That's a dead wave. That's when you get a deconstructive wavelength. That's what happens when you die. That's what happens when you sleep. Basically, it's you. Every time you go to sleep, you have this function that's called deconstructive interference wave function. So this deconstructive interference wave function happens within like a 180 degree out of phase interference. So it's this right here on the right. This one on the right happens when you go to sleep. It's deconstructing, like the node points are on top of that node point and they're canceling each other out. But this, they're amplituding each other. You see how they matched up? So this happens when you go to sleep, and this happens when you wake up. see how I match that shit up? See how I bring it together? This is sleep, this is wake cycle. So on your wake cycle, you have constructive interference waves that bring themselves together to create a higher amplitude. That's why you have energy at Aries. When you finna go to sleep at Saturn, the deconstructive wave collapse upon itself. So I'm not finna give y'all a lot because that's not the goal. It was just surface level right now. So like Y'all give me a second, and then we're gonna talk about the observer. Really, I'm finna end it right here because I don't even know why I did the live like this. I could have, what do you call this? Nigga, I could have just made this a video, really. But the observer's effect is basically a being the observer. An observer does not exist without anything being observed. So let's look up the observer's effect. Because I be having all that in my head, but some of the stuff that I be bringing it together, motherfucker be like, it sound like he, because I am making it up, because I'm putting my own sauce to it. Nigga, I ain't finna break down no scientific etymological, and y'all know I'll be going that level, but you know, we got to put our own sauce. So the observer's effect pops up in many scientific physics. I don't want to hear that, nigga. Hold on. So in physics, the observer's effect is disturbance of an observed system by the act of observation. So look, it says the observer's effect is the disturbance of an observed system. Disturbance. So that's an interference. When you disturb something, you are interfering with it. So when you study the observer's effect, it corresponds with interference pattern in a holographic reality. Observer's effect is disturbance of an observed system by the act of an observation. So this is often the result of utilizing instruments that by necessity alter the state of what they measure in some manner. A common example is checking the pressure in an automobile tire, which causes some of the air to escape, thereby changing the pressure to observe it. Similarly, seeing non-luminous objects require light hitting the object to cause it to reflect the light. While the effects of observation are often neglectable, the object still experiences a change, leading to niggas thoughts and experiments. This effect can be found in some domains of physics, but can usually be reduced in significance by using different instruments or observation techniques. Notable examples of the observer's effect occurs in quantum mechanics, as demonstrated by the double slit experiment. So, like it says, the observer's effects is a disturbance of an observed system by way of the act of observation. So, what that just told you is the interference pattern in human eyes. That's all it's talking about. And like I said in the other one, like we read right here, you know, nothing can not exist without the interference patterns such as light, radio, acoustic, surface, water waves, gravity waves, or matter waves. So that's everything that we see in existence, and also things that's not really existed. So things that we say in the spiritual world are also interfering, is creating interference patterns. So there's nothing that does not exist without an interference pattern, regardless if we say the spirit is in a light body. That light body is interfering with another body that's creating the holographic physical appearance of that light body. To see appearance, to see anything, or to feel, touch, sense, or taste anything, there's interference patterns. And that's what you got to understand. That's the basic of all this right here. You know, like, so put in the perspective of observer's effect, the holographic reality, interference pattern. The interference pattern really brings holographic reality and the observer's effect into coherence. And we're going to be speaking on this more, man. So like, I need to figure out how to hold on. I need to figure out how to, like, what do you call it? Share this. I mean, screen share. That's the word I'm getting at. I need to figure out how to screen share, but it's okay, man. Peace, one love for the people who joined in. I hope I hope this really helped. Whatever. Like and share, whatever. You know, later on, you know, drop Cash App. Y'all can do Cash App, whatever. But yeah, man, we just gonna be going deep on this channel, and we're gonna be dropping hella knowledge. So y'all stay equated to the information. One love, man. Yeah.